Did you find direct evidence of collusion between the Trump campaign and Putin in Moscow while you were there?
Mr. Rooney, I never was an FBI agent. I never was a prosecutor, so I really don't do evidence. I do intelligence throughout the course of my career. As an intelligence professional, what we try to do is to make sure that we provide all relevant information to the Bureau if there is an investigation underway that they are looking into criminal activity. As I mentioned in my opening statement, I was convinced in the summer that the Russians were trying to interfere in the election. And they were very aggressive.
There should be no fuzz on this whatsoever. The Russians interfered in our election during the 2016 cycle. They did it with purpose. They did it with sophistication. They did it with overwhelming technical efforts. And it was an active measures campaign driven from the top of that government. There is no fuzz on that. It is a high confidence judgment of the entire intelligence community. And the members of this committee have seen the intelligence. It's not a close call. That happened. That's about as unfake as you can possibly get and is very, very serious, which is why it's so refreshing to see a bipartisan focus on that.
There isn't a single person associated with the Russia hoax that's been held accountable. And the list is a long one. It goes Obama, Clinton, FBI Director Comey and other people worked there, like Page and Strzok. It involved the intelligence community and Brennan and Clapper, and the importance of the Durham Annex. This is the most sophisticated political scandal that's ever been engineered. No one's been held accountable. Good for Attorney General Pam Bondi for pursuing that. And the most important thing I can tell you, if people are not held accountable for the Russia hoax, they will do it again. And that's what I'm most concerned about.
John Solomon joins me today because he's got a really incredible piece up about a potential smoking gun. John, of everything we're working on, and there's so much of this that are so important, the one thing that we must win and we have to deliver on is this deep state conspiracy, because if we don't solve this now, we don't really have a country. We can win redistricting, we can get tariffs, all the stuff Trump's doing. Seal the border, mass deportations, redoing the world's economic system, supply side productivity tax cuts. All of these great, Putin coming to the White House with Russia, the head of Intel being told he's going to be, the board's got to let him go because it's too close to the Chinese Communist Party. I can list 100 things we're doing, and if we don't do this one big thing, it could all be unwound very easily. So, John Solomon, talk to me about the framing of that. In addition, your amazing article now about, guess what? Obama may have given us a smoking gun, sir.
He did, yeah. He's either the first clairvoyant president in American history because he seemed to know on December 19th, before the CIA had redone the intelligence committee assessment, what its outcome was, or more likely, he knew the fix was in. This is an interview he gives NPR, and I guess he forgot that they hadn't done the work yet. So he tells NPR he expects the CIA to reverse itself and conclude that Vladimir Putin tried to help Donald Trump. The problem is the CIA hasn't really even started the work. It just got going. And he's so embarrassed, he comes back later and tries to walk it back a little bit. Oh, things are still going on. We'll have to see where it goes. It is the sort of proof that John Durham should have found in his investigation, but didn't. But for this point going forward, when you try to prove, let's just say, long 10-year conspiracy, this is a really, really significant piece of evidence. And I'll walk people back to Watergate because you mentioned it for a second. The moment Republicans bolted on Richard Nixon, the epic event that caused them to do it, was when they got the tapes and they realized that Nixon had asked the CIA to try to stop the FBI from investigating the burglary. By the way, the CIA didn't do it, but the mere fact that a president would consider asking the CIA to do something political, it was enough for an entire party to bolt on their president. Here, Obama asked the CIA to come up with a concocted thing, and he seems to know the outcome before the work's even done. You've got the FBI pressuring the CIA to put a bogus Christopher Steele document in the intelligence assessment. And of course, you got the FBI helping Hillary Clinton carry out the whole dirty trick. It is epically, just on the standards of Watergate, It is epically worse than anything we saw in Watergate. And the Democratic Party just yawns at it in our face every day. That's why consequences matter. If we don't punish this behavior, we're going to go from the greatest constitutional republic the world has known to a perennial banana republic.
So, John, I want to go back because, this whole thing, the Obama's immunity because of the court decision, and look, that's all something for them to figure out, but it doesn't mean he can't be in this initial roundup to start looking at it. Sure. I want to go back to the date. Why is, I think it's 19 December. Why is 19 December? What had happened before then? Why is 19 December? Because you've got the original meeting, and then you got the meeting with Trump in early January, right? And what else they do in the Oval. Why is that 19 December his kind of either Freudian slip or bragging about it to NPR? Why is that date so important?
Well, the documents that Tulsi Gabbard were declassified recently, along with the House Intelligence Community Annex that we got recently, thanks to Rick Crawford and Don Nunes, who wrote the original report, showed that the Intelligence Community assessment was just starting. There was no work. What it means is that Barack Obama had decided that the career people are going to come to my conclusion. Doesn't matter what the intelligence shows. I've decided that I want to say that Vladimir Putin interfered in the election to help Donald Trump, and that is contrary to all the evidence that the career CIA people had. They had already briefed Congress on November 29th, and they had briefed the president back in September of 2016 that Russia wasn't trying to pick a candidate. It was just trying to cause mischief like it does in every election. In fact, the best evidence, the smoking gun evidence that the CIA career people were right, was that Vladimir Putin stopped his operations, his influence operations, in October 2016. If you were trying to help Donald Trump win, the month you would lay down on Hillary Clinton and blow your submarines up with her would be in October. Instead, Putin pulls out and lets the American people, without much more influence, go on. The CIA had it right, and Barack Obama decides to corrupt that process because he and Hillary Clinton want to be victims. We didn't lose fair and square. We didn't lose because my policies weren't appreciated. We didn't lose because Hillary Clinton didn't do enough work in Wisconsin and Michigan. We lost because big bad Vladimir Putin and Donald Trump beat us by cheating. That's the victimology that liberals love every time they lose. But in this case, rather than just create a political narrative, they're using the apparatus of the CIA and the intelligence community to create an official government product that is bogus. That is Watergate level stuff.
John, you've been pretty good. You've had a couple of three pretty good called shots on this show about things that happen. Make us smart. What are you looking for as this? As you know, we don't really know where this grand jury is. We keep hearing about it. We don't really know who the prosecutor is. We keep hearing about a strike force. Make us smart right now. What should the War and Posse be looking for in developments in this case?
I'd be staking out the Justice Department next week to see which U.S. attorney comes to meet with Pam Bondi, because that most likely would be the U.S. attorney that inherits the grand conspiracy case. If I had to guess, I think it's going to be Miami, and then the grand jury will be put in Fort Pierce, Florida, which is the same district where Jack Smith did his business, and the raid on Mar-a-Lago and all of the things that we now know about that. That makes a lot of sense because that's the back end of the conspiracy. Most grand juries are impaneled where the most current crimes or alleged crimes are believed to have occurred, and then you work your way back to earlier. So I'd be watching for a visit by the Miami U.S. attorney or some team from Miami or Fort Pierce coming up, and then look for some announcements. If that happens, then the grand conspiracy investigation that has already been written as a predicate by the FBI is underway. If they start doing business in Washington, it means they're fragmenting this and maybe not looking at it as a conspiracy. So I'd be watching for that. My gut tells me, based on what I'm hearing behind the scenes from reporting, that the grand conspiracy is the approach that they're taking.
You mentioned Crawford, and you mentioned the House and then the Senate. Is there going to be something happening in the House and the Senate along these lines, concurrent, their own investigation? What's going to? You're pretty well sourced there. What's going to happen on Capitol Hill?
I think, and this is just based on some early reporting I'm doing, we got to see if this bears out, but I think we're moving to a moment much like the Church Commission was back in the 70s when we learned what the CIA and J. Edgar Hoover did to us. So maybe there is a creation of a truth commission in Congress that works simultaneous alongside of the Justice Department. They don't have to defer to each other. And if I'm the Justice Department, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to put a prosecutor in the Truth Commission. And the second somebody walks in and lies in that commission, I'm going to have the agents with me. I'm going to arrest that person on the scene saying, you clearly lied. We're arresting you today. And then we'll go get a grand jury indictment. That would be the most powerful 1-2 punch that we could do to push back against this. Some people are talking about that's not my idea. If that gets there, that is a powerful 1-2 because we need to educate the American people from the Pravda baloney they've gotten from CNN, the New York Times, and the Washington Post the last 8 months. You do that simultaneously to the criminal investigation. I think you have the most effective potential deterrent so that people aren't tempted to do what they just did the last 9 years.
You're always ahead of the curve when people talk about whistleblowers and people coming forward that have information that felt that they couldn't do it before, both on Capitol Hill and at the DOJ, FBI level. What are you hearing about whistleblowers or people that really know and have for years just felt like nobody would have their back? They can come forward. How big a deal is that right now?
They're coming out of the woodwork, particularly in the intelligence community. People are going directly to Tulsi Gabbard. They feel comfortable because she treated the information seriously and she did a fully transparent release. So that first intelligence officer who's a whistleblower came forward. He was the deputy national intelligence officer for cybersecurity. And he's like, hey, there should have never been the use of the Steele dossier. When I found out the Steele dossier was used for the intelligence community, that violated all the rules. His coming forward has prompted many others to come forward. I think we'll see another release of whistleblower information sometime in August, and it'll probably make our heads spin again. That just there's so many people in the career establishment that knew what was going on was wrong, but they were suppressed, they were intimidated, they were threatened. And when we hear their stories, you're going to see that this does look like Watergate in so many ways, just worse.
Unbelievable.
That's all for today. Thank you. If you want global news to keep you up to date on any new developments, please subscribe our channel and forward our content with your friends on social media and email. Thank you very much for keep supporting me. Stay safe, be blessed. Namaste.
Thank you, God bless you, and God bless America.